Her stepsister poured acid in her food, but you won't believe what happened next. This shocking betrayal turned into an unbelievable story of pain, forgiveness, and revenge that no one saw coming. Watch till the end to witness a twist that will leave you speechless. Zalika's flame had become more than just a restaurant. It was a symbol of resilience, culture, and flavor. Every day, people lined up outside, some for hours, just to taste the magic she created in her kitchen. Her firefruit fusion dish had taken Mwanda by storm. It wasn't just the spice, it was the story, the heart, the journey behind every bite. Zalika had turned pain into purpose, and the whole city respected her for it. People called her the firefruit queen. Her face was on magazine covers. Her interviews played on national radio. Customers traveled from other towns just to meet her and taste her cooking. What made Zalika special wasn't just her food, but the grace she carried despite the pain she had lived through. She didn't flaunt her success, she honored it. But fame has a shadow. One morning, a shiny black sign went up across the street, Kwame Royale. The man behind it? Chef Kwame, a foreign-trained chef with slick suits, smooth words, and a cruel ambition. He didn't open his restaurant for passion, he opened it for revenge. Revenge against the woman who had outshined every male chef in the region, including him. At his grand opening, he smiled for the cameras and took direct shots at Zalika. "My dishes are art," he said loudly, "not some reheated village scraps pretending to be gourmet." Laughter followed. Kwame made sure the media heard every insult. Zalika heard it too. She stood at her restaurant window, watching the flashing lights and crowds gathering for Kwame's opening night. She said nothing. Her staff was furious, but Zalika only whispered, "Let them talk. We'll let the food answer." But Kwame didn't stop at words. He began offering free meals to Zalika's regulars. He poached 2 of her junior chefs with promises of big salaries. He paid influencers to post fake reviews, attacking her dishes. "Too spicy," one said. "Overrated," wrote another. Gradually, Zalika noticed empty chairs where loyal customers once sat. Still, she didn't fight back. She cooked. She smiled. She kept showing up. But the tension was growing. Staff began worrying. Suppliers whispered that Kwame was trying to block their deliveries. It was clear. This wasn't just business. It was war, and Kwame was playing dirty. Zalika stayed silent in public, but inside, the fire was burning. Not just for herself, but for every young girl watching, every dreamer who had been mocked for starting small. She couldn't let him win. She looked at the firefruit stacked in her kitchen, the same fruit that had once saved her, inspired her, fed her. She ran her hand across its rough skin and whispered, "You gave me power once. I'll need it again." Because now, the Queen of Spice wasn't just protecting her crown. She was protecting her name, her story, and everything she had built from ashes. And this time, the flames were going to roar louder than ever. It was a quiet morning at Zalika's flame. The sun had just risen, casting a soft glow over the street. Zalika stepped outside for a breath of fresh air before the kitchen heat consumed her. As she sipped her tea, her eyes caught a figure across the road, frail, dirty, sitting on the curb with a rusted tin can. Her heart stopped. It couldn't be, but it was. Tando, the same stepsister who once tried to destroy her, the same girl who poisoned her food and nearly cost her everything. But the face that once smirked with arrogance was now hollow, sunken, and tired. Her hair was unkempt, her clothes torn. Tando wasn't the proud student anymore. She was just a broken girl, invisible to the world. Their eyes met. For a second, time froze. Tando quickly looked away, her head dropping in shame. She didn't expect forgiveness. She didn't expect anything. Zalika stood still, emotions crashing inside her. Was it pity, anger, confusion? All she knew was her past was now sitting on the sidewalk, defeated. Just then, a loud voice broke the silence. "Even beggars don't eat your food." Everyone turned. It was Chef Kwame. He stood outside his fancy restaurant, laughing loudly. "I guess your village recipes are feeding the streets now." His laughter echoed as his staff joined in. Customers paused to watch the scene unfold. Zalika's cheeks burned, not with embarrassment, but with fury, her fists clenched by her side. She looked at Tando again, the same girl who once humiliated her, who once wore chef whites and bragged about winning. Now she sat on a street corner, rejected by family, disowned by culinary schools, and mocked by the very world she tried to rise in. Zalika's mind raced. She could walk away. She could ignore her. After everything Tando had done, didn't she deserve this? Wasn't this karma finally being served? But something held her back. Tando didn't speak. She didn't ask for help. She just kept her eyes on the ground like she had accepted her punishment. There was no arrogance left, no pride, just silence. Kwame was still laughing. Look at you two. One's pretending to be a queen, and the other's her royal pet. What a joke. Zalika turned sharply toward him, her jaw tight, but she said nothing. She walked back into her restaurant, her thoughts spinning like a storm. Her past had come back, not to haunt her, but to test her heart, and Kwame's cruelty had reached a new low. This wasn't just a food rivalry anymore. It was personal. But Zalika knew something Kwame didn't. True strength isn't just shown in battles. It's shown in the choices you make when power is in your hands. And in that moment, a quiet decision was made deep within her. She wouldn't fight like Kwame. She would rise, but with honor. And maybe, just maybe, she wouldn't rise alone. Tando's eyes stayed fixed on the ground as Zalika disappeared inside the restaurant. But her mind was screaming, dragging her back through every painful memory. The fall hadn't happened overnight. It was slow, brutal, and public. It started the day the truth came out. Poison in Zalika's food. The competition disqualified her instantly. Her name was splashed across every blog in Mwanda. The girl who tried to kill with a spoon. She was expelled from culinary school. No one believed her sobs or excuses, not even her parents. Her mother slapped her in front of the principal. Her father turned his back and said, "You are not my daughter." That moment crushed her spirit. She tried to apply for work, but no kitchen would take her. Word had spread. Everyone saw her as dangerous, unstable, toxic. Even her closest friends ghosted her. The same people who once praised her talent now whispered behind her back, laughed at her in markets, and crossed the street to avoid her. She spent nights in shelters, days begging. Sometimes she'd sleep behind restaurants and smell the food she once dreamed of cooking. Hunger became her only companion. But what hurt more than the hunger was the regret. She had let jealousy eat her alive. She had poisoned not just Zalika's food, but her own future. Now, years later, she sat broken in front of the one person she once hated most. Zalika, the girl she had mocked, betrayed, and nearly destroyed. But Tando wasn't here for pity. She didn't expect a warm welcome. She didn't hope for a second chance. All she wanted was one thing: forgiveness. Her pride was gone. Her ego had died long ago. All that remained was a heart heavy with shame. She remembered Zalika's kindness, her laughter, how she used to hum while cooking. Tando once saw that joy as weakness. Now she understood. It was strength. That day, she hadn't planned to come near Zalika's restaurant. She was too ashamed. But hunger had pulled her feet toward the scent of firefruit fusion. Her stomach roared, but her heart ached louder. When Zalika saw her, it felt like the world stopped. And then came Kwame's cruel voice, another reminder that even at rock bottom, the world would still throw stones. Tando didn't flinch. She didn't yell back. She'd done enough damage with her mouth years ago. Now she just sat, quiet, hoping maybe, somehow, Zalika would see not the girl she once was, but the woman she was trying to become. Not perfect, not proud, just sorry. And maybe, if the universe was kind, forgiveness could be the first ingredient to rebuild what envy once burned. Tando sat outside Zalika's flame for 3 more nights, curled up beside the wall, watching laughter spill out from customers who tasted joy in every bite. She didn't beg, she didn't speak, she just watched, silent, ashamed, cold. Her belly cried louder than her pride, but it was her heart that hurt most. The memories of what she had done were louder than any hunger. And yet, every time Zalika stepped out, their eyes met, not with fire, but with something quieter, older, heavier. On the 4th morning, just as the sky turned pale, Tando stood up. Her legs were weak, her clothes soaked with dew, but her spirit carried one last ounce of courage. She walked slowly to the side entrance of the restaurant, where Zalika always came in early to prepare her sauces. She waited, shivering, hands shaking. Zalika arrived, holding a basket of spices. When she saw Tando standing there, she stopped. They stared at each other. No words, just the sound of distant city horns and birds waking up. Then Tando dropped to her knees. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "Not because I'm hungry, not because I'm broken, but because I was cruel when you were kind. I poisoned your food. I poisoned our family. I don't deserve anything from you, but I need you to hear me say it." Her voice cracked. Tears spilled. She covered her face and cried. Not dramatic, not loud, just years of guilt falling like rain. Zalika didn't move for a moment. Her eyes didn't soften. Her hands didn't reach out. She just looked at the girl who once tried to destroy her. Then, slowly, she turned and disappeared into the restaurant. Tando thought it was over, but 5 minutes later the door opened again. Zalika stepped out. In her hands was a simple plate: rice, grilled firefruit, and a small bowl of her signature spicy stew. No words, just the food. She set it on a stool beside Tando. "One plate," she said quietly. "That's all I'm offering today." Tando looked up, her mouth trembling. She reached out with both hands, not like a beggar, but like someone accepting a gift she knew she didn't deserve. She whispered, "Thank you," but her voice was barely a breath. Zalika didn't stay. She walked back inside, closing the door gently behind her. Tando sat there, hands around the warm plate, steam rising into her face. She didn't eat right away. She just stared at it, tears dripping down into the food. Not out of sadness, but hope. A silent, flickering hope. Because sometimes, forgiveness doesn't come in loud speeches or dramatic hugs. Sometimes it's just one plate of food, and that's enough to begin again. Chef Kwame wasn't just watching, he was waiting. The moment he saw Tando near Zalika's kitchen, his lips curled into a cruel smile. He grabbed his phone, snapped a photo from across the street, and within minutes, the image was all over social media with a caption that read, "Zalika hires the snake who tried to kill her. Can you trust food made with poison hands?" The post went viral. Comments flooded in. Some defended Zalika, but many questioned her decision. Is this forgiveness or foolishness? If she can forgive that, what else will she ignore in her food? The whispers turned into noise, and the noise turned into doubt. But Kwame wasn't finished. Behind the scenes, he approached some of Zalika's best staff. He offered them double pay, a lighter workload, and even free accommodation. One by one, a few cracked. They didn't leave with smiles, just quiet guilt, but they left. The kitchen that once buzzed with loyalty now echoed with empty space. Then came the recipes. Kwame, desperate to ruin Zalika completely, began serving dishes suspiciously similar to hers. Firefruit stew, smoked pepperfish, even her special cinnamon yam cakes, all with slight changes, just enough to call them original. But those who tasted both knew the truth. He wasn't inspired, he was stealing. And if that wasn't enough, sabotage came next. One morning, Zalika's delivery of fresh spices never arrived. Her supplier swore the order had been cancelled by someone claiming to be her manager. Another day, her cold storage malfunctioned mysteriously overnight, ruining trays of meat. And then her cooking gas ran out during lunch hour. All cylinders were empty, despite being refilled days ago. It was no accident. Kwame was behind it all. Customers noticed the delays, the smaller menu, the missing flavors. Reviews dropped. The long line outside Zalika's flame started shrinking. People still loved her, but confusion and whispers had crept in. Could she really trust someone like Tando again? Was she slipping? Was her crown falling? Through it all, Zalika stayed quiet. She didn't post replies. She didn't beg staff to return. She didn't expose Kwame, though she knew the truth. But inside, the fire was building. Not of revenge, but of resilience. She had survived poison once. She had risen from betrayal. And now, with Tando silently helping in the back, carefully chopping vegetables and washing dishes with trembling hands, Zalika knew this wasn't her end. It was a test, and the real cooking was about to begin. At first, Zalika wasn't sure she could trust Tando. The pain of betrayal still lingered deep inside. But every day, she watched Tando work quietly in the kitchen, never complaining, never asking for special treatment. Tando cleaned every corner, chopped vegetables with care, and soaked up every lesson Zalika shared. It was clear she wanted to make things right, not just for show, but from her heart. Zalika started letting her stay longer, letting her handle small tasks, then bigger ones. Tando was patient, humble, and focused. She didn't rush or argue. She worked with a steady determination. Slowly, the cold walls between them began to warm. Then came the day when everything almost fell apart. The restaurant was swamped, orders piled up, and Zalika's body and mind were pushed beyond their limits. Stress hit hard, and suddenly she felt dizzy and weak. Before she could say a word, Tando stepped forward without hesitation. She took command of the kitchen, coordinated the staff, and handled a major catering order, something that could have ruined their reputation if failed. With steady hands and a clear mind, Tando pulled it off. The food was perfect, the guests satisfied, and the restaurant saved from disaster. Word spread quickly among the staff. Whispers floated through the kitchen and dining room. "Did you see that? Tando really helped today. Maybe she's changed. Maybe there's hope for her yet. Some who had doubted Tando before began to watch her differently. The cold stares softened. The suspicious glances turned into nods of approval. Even some of the chefs who had left for Kwame's restaurant started to question their decision. For Zalika, this moment was bigger than just saving one order. It was the first real sign that her stepsister was willing to change, to heal, and maybe even to rebuild what they had lost. It wasn't forgiveness made overnight. It was trust slowly being earned. And in the quiet moments, when the kitchen was calm and the heat of the day settled, Zalika caught herself smiling at Tando's effort. Maybe this was the start of something new. Sisters in the kitchen, not enemies at the table. The battle outside still raged, with Kwame trying everything to bring them down. But inside, a fragile alliance was forming, a bond built on sweat, tears, and the hope that even the deepest wounds could one day heal. Chef Kwame wasn't done yet. Fueled by jealousy and spite, he threw down a public challenge that shocked everyone. A live cooking duel called the Flame-Off. The event promised drama, with celebrity judges and cameras from every major channel. Kwame's plan was clear: humiliate Zalika in front of the whole city and destroy her growing empire. The challenge spread like wildfire through Mwanda. Everyone was talking. Could Zalika really compete against the arrogant Kwame and his high-end kitchen? Many thought she wouldn't even show up. But Zalika surprised everyone. Not only did she accept, but she also announced something no one expected. She was choosing Tando, her once poisonous stepsister, as her co-chef. The news exploded across social media. People were shocked and confused. Why would Zalika trust Tando after everything? The media asked. Her staff protested fiercely. They feared Tando would mess up the chance of a lifetime or bring trouble. Critics laughed and called it a disaster waiting to happen. But Zalika stood firm. With quiet strength, she told her team, "This isn't about the past. It's about who we choose to be now." She believed in Tando's change and knew this was more than a cooking contest. It was a chance to prove forgiveness, trust, and growth could win. As the day of the flame-off approached, tension filled the air. The crowd was huge, cameras everywhere. Kwame sneered, confident he'd crush them both. But Zalika and Tando stayed calm, focused on their mission. Together, they worked in perfect harmony, blending flavors, techniques, and passion. They weren't just cooking food, they were rewriting their story. The judges tasted every dish carefully, impressed by the unique firefruit fusion and the harmony between the two chefs. When the results came, the crowd erupted. Zalika and Tando had won, not just the competition but respect, hope, and a new beginning. Kwame was stunned, his plan ruined. This challenge wasn't just a battle of skills, it was proof that even the deepest wounds could heal, and that courage to forgive could create the strongest fire of all. Zalika's words echoed through the crowd. The past may shape us, but it doesn't define us. What we become is what truly matters. The day of the duel finally arrived, and the atmosphere was electric. Cameras flashed, the crowd buzzed with excitement, and the judges took their seats, ready for the showdown. Chef Kwame strutted to his station with arrogance, serving up dishes that looked fancy but lacked soul. His plates were polished and perfect on the surface, but as the judges tasted, their faces showed disappointment. The food was tasteless, missing the spark that turns a meal into a memory. Then it was Zalika and Tando's turn. They worked side by side with calm determination, pouring everything they had into their cooking. Every slice, every spice was infused with their shared history, the pain, the betrayal, the forgiveness, and the hope that had grown between them. Their final creation was called Ashes to Aroma, a dish born from hardship but transformed by love and healing. It was a tribute to their journey, rising from the ashes of the past to create something beautiful. When the judges took their first bites, silence fell over the room. Their eyes closed as the flavors unfolded, bold, rich, and full of emotion. The judges exchanged glances, unable to speak at first. Then, slowly, a standing ovation began. The crowd erupted, cheering loudly for the powerful story told through food. Ashes to Aroma wasn't just a meal, it was an experience, a symbol of redemption and strength. Chef Kwame watched in disbelief as Zalika and Tando were celebrated. His plan to humiliate them had completely backfired. The judges praised their courage, teamwork, and the deep meaning behind their dish. Zalika's humble smile said it all. She had won not just the contest, but the respect and hearts of everyone watching. This moment proved that true success isn't about flashy looks or fancy titles. It's about passion, forgiveness, and the courage to rise above bitterness. Zalika and Tando showed that when you cook with your heart, karma serves the most unforgettable dishes. When the judges finished tasting the dishes, they didn't just applaud Zalika and Tando's incredible ashes to aroma. Behind the scenes, an investigation had quietly begun. Rumors about Chef Kwame's shady tactics were swirling. People whispered about stolen spices, bribed officials, and copied recipes. The cooking duel was more than just a contest. It became a spotlight exposing Kwame's real character. As the final scores were being announced, evidence came to light live on stage. The judges revealed that Kwame had been caught using stolen spices from Zalika's kitchen, ingredients he had bribed suppliers to steal. Not only that, reports showed he paid off staff from Zalika's restaurant to sabotage her supplies and had copied several of her signature dishes without credit. The crowd gasped, and Kwame's confident smirk vanished instantly. The judges had no choice but to disqualify him. His reputation shattered in front of thousands watching online and in person. The news spread fast. Kwame's grand restaurant, once the talk of the town, was forced to shut down within a week. His empire collapsed as quickly as it had risen, a victim of his own dishonesty and greed. Zalika's reaction surprised many. Despite everything, she chose forgiveness over revenge. She understood that holding on to anger would only weigh her down, yet she never forgot the pain and betrayal. Her forgiveness was powerful but cautious, a sign of strength rather than weakness. She focused on rebuilding her restaurant and healing the wounds of the past. Tando's transformation was even more remarkable. Once the poisonous stepsister who tried to destroy Zalika, she now stood proudly beside her sister as a warrior, not a villain. Their bond had been tested through fire, betrayal, and hardship, but now it was stronger than ever. Together, they faced the future with renewed hope and unity. The staff who once doubted Tando's change began to see her true character. Her hard work, loyalty, and humility proved that people can change when given a chance. Zalika and Tando became a symbol of redemption and the power of forgiveness. Their story inspired many, showing that even the darkest past can lead to a brighter future when hearts open to healing. Kwame's defeat was a lesson for everyone. Dishonesty and envy can bring temporary success, but true greatness comes from honesty, passion, and respect. Zalika and Tando's rise from pain to victory was proof that karma does not forget and that real strength lies in compassion and unity. With her rival defeated, Zalika's restaurant flourished more than ever. Zalika's Flame became a beloved place not only for its delicious food, but for the inspiring story behind it. People came not just to eat, but to witness the power of forgiveness and transformation. In the end, Zalika and Tando showed the world that even enemies can become allies, and that true victory is about rising above bitterness and standing together as family. Their journey was a powerful reminder that no matter how hard life tries to break us, with courage and love, we can always rise stronger. Zalika's journey of healing and triumph reached a new milestone when she decided to open a second restaurant, a special place called Sister's Flame. This restaurant was not just another business venture, it symbolized the powerful bond that had grown between her and Tando, the stepsister who once caused her so much pain, but now stood proudly by her side as a partner. The idea was bold and meaningful, to show that even the deepest wounds could heal and turn into strength when forgiveness and love guide the way. News of Sister's Flame spread quickly through the village and beyond. The people who had once watched their rivalry with sharp eyes now came with open hearts, eager to celebrate this new chapter of unity. The grand opening was a festival filled with joy, laughter, and delicious aromas that promised more than just food. It promised hope, redemption, and a future built on trust. Families, friends, and neighbors gathered, proud to witness how two women, once enemies, transformed their story into a powerful legacy of grace. Reporters and curious guests asked Zalika why she chose forgiveness instead of revenge after all the betrayal and pain she had endured. Zalika's answer was simple but profound. Bitterness burns the tongue, forgiveness feeds the soul. These words resonated deeply with everyone who heard them. She explained how holding on to anger only harmed herself, and how choosing forgiveness freed her from the weight of the past. Forgiveness didn't erase what happened, but it opened a door to healing, and allowed her to grow stronger with every step. Tando, once lost and broken, had found a new life through this act of grace. She worked tirelessly alongside Zalika, proving every day that change was possible. Together, they created a kitchen where passion mixed with humility, where recipes told stories not just of flavor, but of courage and transformation. Their teamwork inspired the staff and customers alike. Sister's Flame quickly became famous not just for its amazing dishes, but for the heartwarming story that filled every corner of the restaurant. The village celebrated not only a business success, but a message that echoed far beyond the walls of the kitchen. It was a story of betrayal, karma, and ultimately grace. A story showing that no matter how dark the past, light could still break through. Zalika and Tando's journey became legendary. Parents told their children about the two sisters who overcame hate. The community shared their story at festivals, and travelers came from distant places to taste the food and feel the warmth of forgiveness. Sister's Flame stood as a living reminder that life is full of challenges, but it is our choices that define us. Zalika's decision to forgive and rebuild wasn't a sign of weakness, but a bold statement of strength. It proved that true power doesn't come from holding grudges, but from letting go and opening your heart. The restaurant became a beacon of hope, inspiring others to believe in second chances and the magic of healing. Through their journey, Zalika and Tando taught a timeless lesson. Even when life burns you with pain and betrayal, you can rise with spice and grace. Their story became a symbol of courage, unity, and the beautiful strength found in forgiveness, a story no one in their village or beyond would ever forget. Thank you so much for watching this incredible story of forgiveness, courage, and the power of second chances. Zalika and Tando's journey reminds us that no matter how deep the wounds, healing is possible when we choose love over hatred and grace over bitterness. Their story is proof that even the most broken relationships can transform into bonds stronger than ever, and that true strength lies in forgiveness. If this story touched your heart, remember that forgiveness doesn't just free others, it frees you too. Life may bring pain and betrayal, but it also gives us the power to rise above and build something beautiful from the ashes. Like Zalika and Tando, we all have the chance to choose kindness, to heal old wounds, and to turn our struggles into stories of hope. If you believe in the power of forgiveness and want to see more heartwarming tales like this, please hit that like button to show your support. Share this video with friends and family who need a reminder that grace can change lives. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel, because every story here is made to inspire you and bring light to your day. Thank you again for being part of this journey. Your support means the world, and together we can spread these beautiful lessons far and wide. Stay strong, stay kind, and always remember, forgiveness feeds the soul.